All right, so this is part 2 of the nutrition lecture. I want to look at accessory organs. So if you look at your outline, I have on the second page, accessory organs, letter H, the pancreas, letter I, the liver, and letter J, the gallbladder. So if you look at the pancreas, I listed the substances that's in pancreatic juice. So again, the pancreas is part of your digestive system. It's considered an accessory organ because it's not actually part of the whole canal. It's just, it's off to the side, but it secretes substances into the canal. So the pancreas makes two kinds of molecules. So there's digestive enzymes, which is amylase, and that looks familiar because our saliva also makes amylase. So we make amylase two places in our body. Lipases break down fat, which is also in our saliva. We have nucleases that break down nucleic acids, which are DNA and RNA, because again, everything we eat is a living thing. All living things have DNA and RNA, so we can digest those large molecules too. And then proteases break down proteins. So all of your food groups, all your macromolecules get broken down, aided by pancreatic juice. And then there's something called sodium bicarbonate. For those of you who have taken chemistry, sodium bicarbonate is baking soda. So we have baking soda that's being made and then put into our small intestine. So the important role that sodium bicarbonate has is that it's a basic substance. It has a pH of about 9. So when it mixes with the chyme, right, the chyme coming into the stomach is from your, the chyme that's from your stomach has a pH of 1 or 2, so it's very acidic. So when it comes into your small intestine, you need to neutralize that acid or else your small intestine is going to get destroyed. So that's what your sodium bicarbonate does. It neutralizes the acid of chyme coming from the stomach because your small intestine is not designed like your stomach. It does not have that thick mucus wall, so it would get damaged if you didn't have sodium bicarbonate. Then you have the liver. So the liver is going to create bile, and so bile is going to emulsify fats. Emulsify means to break large droplets of fat down into smaller droplets of fat. So it's a way of increasing surface area for the enzymes to like sort of enzymatically break it down. So bile, you'll hear that bile helps to break down fats. It's just not the enzymatic breakdown. It's just a physical, like taking larger droplets into smaller droplets. Okay, so the word emulsify is used here. So the liver has a lot of other functions. It's a very, very important organ. I mentioned you cannot live without a functional liver. And then the gallbladder, which is under the liver, is just storage for the bile. It doesn't make the bile. So the liver makes the bile, the gallbladder stores extra bile. So those are the accessory organs in this region. But remember, accessory organ is also your salivary glands at the mouth, right? It secretes into the mouth. As mentioned here, the salivary glands is an accessory organ. I just talked about the liver, the gallbladder, and the pancreas. All right, so we're moving on to another, we covered those questions. Another concept here, which is calories and nutrients. All right, what is a calorie? A calorie is the amount of energy required to raise the temperature of 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. So very technical definition. So when they determine how many calories are in foods, they literally burn the food and they find out how much of it takes to raise the 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius. So I have this link actually shows that going on. It shows the process of, it's not as glamorous as you guys might be imagining, but I'll put this up in the module so you can take a look at it. It'll be, but that's a calorie. So when you find, if you look at the next sentence there, kcal versus calorie. So the word calorie in our packaged foods is the capital C. Okay, capital C is not the same as lowercase c calorie. So what a capital C calorie is actually a kilocalorie. So 1,000 tiny calories is 1 big C calorie. So the reason why we put our numbers into, so here, 500 kilocalories, that would be a capital C, 500 capital C calories. The reason why we use the capital C or a kilocalorie is just for ease of understanding, right? It would be terrifying to see that, your ice cream had 500,000 calories or 5 million calories. So let's take a look at, so this is just a quick comparison of what food, the energy that food has, right? One slice of wheat bread can have 65 kilocalories. And then how long would it take to burn 65 kilocalories in different activities? So jogging for 5 minutes would burn one piece of bread. That's a little depressing. So anyways, that's the way that we measure energy in food. In your notes, you have the basal metabolic rate. So the basal metabolic rate is the amount of energy your body needs just to stay alive. Basal is like the lowest amount of calories that you can take in just to stay alive. So everybody's basal metabolic rate is slightly different. However, there's a general range, right? So it's about 1,300 to 1,500 calories a day for females, and then about 1,600 to 1,800 calories a day for males. If you take in more calories than your body uses, your body will store it as fat, right? And if you use more calories than you're taking in, then you tend to lose weight, right? Because you're going to use the stored fat and the stored energy that you have in your body. Let's look at some essential nutrients. So the word essential means that your body cannot synthesize it with any kind of beginning or any kind of parts. You have to take in this nutrient through your diet. So there are essential amino acids, there are essential fatty acids, there are essential vitamins and minerals. In fact, all minerals are essential because we can't just create minerals from our body. But I just want to show you this. This is a picture of your essential amino acids. So you have 8 essential amino acids that your body needs to take in through diet that they can't create. So it turns out that corn contains methionine, and then these essential amino acids, beans contain everything in the brown. But together, if you eat like a bean taco, for example, you can get all of your essential amino acids in. So that's the word essential, right? Your body needs to get it from the outside because you can't make it. So sometimes you'll see complete meals, and that means that you get all your essential nutrients in that meal. Vitamins, okay, what's a vitamin? A vitamin is an organic molecule that is required in your diet. You don't need a lot of it in very small amounts. And what vitamins usually do is they assist enzymes. So we can see that there's a bunch of vitamins here. These are water-soluble vitamins. These are hydrophilic. They dissolve in water. You have some fat-soluble vitamins. These are hydrophobic, so they dissolve in fats. So most of these guys are going to help your enzymes as coenzymes, and some of them will be antioxidants. And so too much of a good thing can also be bad for you. So if you ate too much of a certain kind of vitamin, you can. There are some side effects of that. I know that if you there's a side effect of too much vitamin C, which is diarrhea, and too much of A, D, E, or K. These fat-soluble vitamins, you want to be careful for doing too much of those because the fat-soluble ones tend to stay in your body a little bit longer than your water-soluble ones, and they're going to be harder to get rid of. So they can build up to toxic levels. So just don't overdose on any of your vitamins. So that's why I say number 3, fat-soluble, which is ADEK. Fat-soluble vitamins are better absorbed if you had some fat with your meals, right? So if you want to absorb these hydrophobic fat-soluble vitamins, maybe a little olive oil or some, avocado in your meal would make these get absorbed better. All right, let's look at, so this is just for your own interest, if you're interested in what biotin or vitamin C or folic acid does and where you can find it. Minerals, okay, I know this is not a picture of minerals, but minerals are inorganic substances like calcium, iron, iodine, and sodium, and too much or too little minerals can also cause harm. So vitamins are organic molecules and minerals are inorganic substances. Okay, so nutrition. Micronutrient versus macronutrient. So I know this is not listed in your outline, but you should know the difference. You should know these. Macronutrients are nutrients that are in large amounts. So we're talking carbohydrates, proteins, lipids. Micronutrients are nutrients that are you need, but in smaller amounts. And these are things like your vitamins, okay, and your minerals. So what kind of foods have a lot of macronutrients? What kind of foods have a lot of micronutrients? So it turns out that foods like starch, like breads, steaks, right, like a hamburger would have lots of macronutrients. Micronutrients are found in vegetables and fruits. So malnutrition, actually, let me talk about this. Can you be obese and malnourished? So this is an example of people getting a lot of macronutrients, right? So you can get a lot of carbohydrates in these foods, a lot of proteins in these foods, a lot of fats in these foods. But is it giving you all the micronutrients you need? No, right? So it's not very rich in micronutrients. So can you be obese and malnourished? Sure you can. You can be getting a disproportionate amount of macronutrients and not enough micronutrients. So you want to make sure your diet is balanced. You're getting enough of your fruits and vegetables. There is other kinds of malnutrition out there. There's this extreme kind of malnutrition. This is a protein deficiency called kwashiorkor. It's very difficult to say. But in very, very impoverished regions of the planet, if you don't get enough protein, the hallmark sign of that is an extended belly. So there's fluid buildup in your abdomen. And this is a hallmark sign of protein deficiency. And it's because your liver needs proteins to make a special blood protein that makes sure your osmotic pressure is okay in your body. Very, very poor places have protein is very expensive because you think about protein as being animal meat. And if you are raising animal, you need water to raise the animal, you need feed to raise the animal. So animals tend to be very, very expensive because you need to feed and raise the animal and keep the animal alive. So food in areas that are very poor tend to be very carbohydrate rich, right? Rice or corn. But this is a extreme case of malnutrition. All right. So which choice below is a micronutrient? If you pause it to think about it, the answer is vitamin B. I'm sorry, vitamin C, answer B. My brain just mixed that up there. So vitamin C is a micronutrient. All right. So I have let's see if I have a BMI. Okay, no. So the next topic in the outline is BMI, or body mass index. So I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with the BMI. So BMI is the ratio of how tall you are to how much you weigh. And there is a healthy range of that ratio. And you can be over that range or under that range. But obesity and all kinds of cardiovascular diseases have been linked with a very high BMI. So you want to make sure that if you want to go online and estimate your BMI, that you are within the healthy range. One of the topics here, this leptin and ghrelin, is this is the two hormones that really help us with our eating. So one of the hormones, leptin, makes us feel full, and then ghrelin makes you feel hungry. And so as you go through the day, you have various levels of both of these hormones. And if you have more ghrelin than leptin, then you feel hungry. And the stomach is what produces the ghrelin. So your stomach is feeling very empty and it's producing ghrelin. It's basically saying, hey, go get something to eat. And then it's funny. So after eating, the stomach will stop producing the ghrelin. And your fat cells, it's very interesting, your fat will make leptin, and the leptin will signal to your brain, hey, I'm full, you can stop eating now, okay? So those are the two hormones that you want to know for this chapter, leptin and ghrelin. You want to know ghrelin is secreted by the stomach and leptin is secreted by the adipose, or your fat, and that ghrelin makes you feel hungry, and leptin makes you feel full. So let me end this with a couple, one science experiment, and then just why do we crave sugar and fat. So this is an experiment here. First of all, these mice, this is an obese mouse, okay, and this is a normal sized mouse. And the observation was there's a mutation in a particular gene in mice that leads to a significant increase in body fat. So this obese mouse has a mutation. How does that mutation cause such a large change in body fat, right? The hypothesis is the mutant mouse, right, became overweight because their obese gene fails to produce that leptin hormone. So they have a mutation in the leptin hormone. These mice are not producing leptin. And if you're not producing leptin, then that means that this mouse might not ever feel full and always kind of feel hungry, and so overeat and become obese. The experiment was that they took these mutant mice that don't make leptin, and then they took normal mice that just made normal amounts of leptin, and they injected both of these mice with either leptin or a saline control. So this is just salt water. The results, mutant mice that received leptin ended up weighing about half as much as the mutant mice that received the saline. So let's take a look at that. So here's our mutant mice, our big mouse that has a defective obese gene. If you did nothing, if you injected the mouse with saline, right, the mouse weighed a lot for a mouse. If you injected that defective mouse with with leptin, so you gave the mouse the missing leptin, it lost about half the weight, so it was half as big. Still bigger than the normal mice. So it didn't go all the way to normal, did it? So if you look at the normal mice with the normal obese gene, it didn't matter. The weight pretty much stayed pretty constant if you injected it with saline or if you injected it with leptin. So it might have lost a little bit of weight if you put more leptin in, but not a whole lot. So what this is showing is that, look at this, like why didn't these really large mice, if you gave it leptin, go to normal, right? It stayed big. So this experiment was one of many that basically showed that your weight is more complicated than just one defective gene or one hormone. Does this mean that all we need to do is give obese people leptin to lose weight? Well, no, right? More than 100 genes have been shown to contribute to your maintenance of weight, and the genetics only partially explains why weight can be difficult to control. So weight is very complicated, and not just, you don't have this one silver bullet fix, which I'm sure, that's what people would love, for, one single fix for obesity, but it's more complicated than that. And I wanted to end, so I'm going to end this just by talking about why we crave sugar and fat. So sugar and fat are the two food groups where our bodies get the most energy from, right? So sugar and fat are the most caloric, and in order for us to survive in the past, we wanted to, so animals will find a way to make themselves seek very caloric foods. So the taste of it, that reward, the reason why we love the taste of sugars and fats is because those are the two food groups that give us the most energy. So it's very evolutionarily based. The foods that drive our survival to give us the most energy in the past, the link to feeling pleasure is made because those animals that seeked more fats and sugars, right, had more calories and they got fatter and healthier versus the ones that maybe didn't seek the high calorie foods. So that's the reason why it's so difficult to stay away from carbohydrates and fatty foods. It's because it's ingrained in our physiology, it's ingrained in our evolution to seek these foods out. So if you have trouble staying on a diet, right, it's not really willpower. It's deeper than that. So your body really has a drive to seek out these higher calorie foods. Anyways, just wanted to mention that, and that is it for chapter 22.